Welcome everybody. In today's video I want to talk about my plans for the 0.5 Leaguestart. There are three things I want to talk about. Number one, the aspirational build I am striving for, which I will work directly towards with my Leaguestart build. And a backup plan for my Leaguestart build. So let me explain. The build that I want to do will be revolving around the new Twisted Empyrean two-handed mace. So this right here. That's the mace. I want to build around this. The problem is this will not be accessible at the start of the game, and I will not be able to like instantly do this build. So basically I will Leaguestart with something else, but will put a lot of effort into trying to get this as soon as possible to then switch the build. So let's still start with the build idea I have for this, because this is legitimately one of the most exciting things for me in like since this game was released. I think this item is just so fucking cool. Like, it looks good. The inbuilt skill Starborn Onslaught, just thematically it's just so cool. I don't know if the like skill will actually hold up, but even if like the active skill does not hold up, the rest of the item will still make it worth the build. While we're on the topic of this, in the most recent interview, the devs said that it will be very likely that adding a 6 socket to unique skills will be possible with either a jeweler's orb or some recipe, like they wanna get this in. And it sounded like even if they can't get it into 0.5, it will probably come in like 0.5.1 or something. So basically you don't need to drop a level 20 version of this to get basically like a 6 link. This is like super huge for SSF. But yeah, let me talk about the build. Basically my build idea is mana stacking Lich. Let's go to the item again just to understand what this item does. So basically this is a decently good item from the stats perspective without mana investment. This has like decent stats. It's like for the mace, it's one of the faster attacks. It has more than average crit. I think they showed the version they showed in the preview video and the one they showed on the web page, like on the home page for the patch. They have like a couple different rolls. On one it had like 5.4 crit, and this one has 4.4 from the revealed stream. So that is already like it can roll over 5%, which is more than tier 1. The flat added cold damage I think is roughly twice as much as a tier 1 cold damage roll, and the physical damage is still high enough that it's a like relevant amount. But the biggest thing about this weapon obviously is it converts all the fire damage to cold damage, and also visually. This gives you like completely different scaling options. I will talk about this later, because this is like very important. This is not only a thematic thing where, okay, now I'm doing cold damage instead of fire. It's at the end of the day, it's still elemental damage. But the scaling for cold is like very, very different. And cold also offers an additional defense layer with chill and freeze, and then especially with two-handed mace skills, being able to stun and chill and freeze is a lot of defense. Secondly, damage taken from mana before life is also a defensive thing when you build around it. Probably this rolls from like 10 to 20%. We have to see the exact roll, the one they showcased in the video, I think, or on the homepage, I can't remember, was like 17%. But yeah, now the most important thing about this, why this weapon just with the stats will be even better. This has attacks with this weapon have added cold damage equal to 6 to 10% of maximum mana. The other weapon they showed was 7 to 11%. We don't know if this is the max roll. Even assuming that 7 to 11% is the max roll, on a like decently invested character with like 2000 to 2500 mana, which is absolutely not the top. This weapon has more damage already, flat damage, just the flat damage, than a perfectly crafted tier 1 everything mace. Like I'm not even joking. Like that, this like not even like it's like 15 to 20% less, I think, than an absolutely perfect crafted. I just did basically here in the path of building. You can see this. This is basically just the relevant stats. This has like flat cold damage, and the fist damage is basically 1-to-1 as Twisted Empyrean, and 5% crit. We can't go higher than that. It can apparently roll higher than that. And then you have the mana thing. I did the mana thing here in my configurations, where I basically you can't see that because of my camera. Up here in my configurations, I basically added the maximum mana and manually added the flat cold damage that my mana in this current configuration would give me. In this current configuration, we have 2400 mana. But if you calculate this flat damage and the flat damage that this weapon has together, that is like roughly like 80% of a perfectly, and I mean like perfectly crafted weapon. I took the highest damage weapon, which is a Ironwood Great Hammer, and added like all the stuff to it. And basically this is like, I think like it adds to like roughly like 90% of the damage that this weapon would have. And this is tier 1 max, tier 1 max, tier 1 max, and the crit chance. And we also need attack speed on this base type to get the same attack speed. So this is a weapon that I would never, ever, ever would be able to get in SSF. And yeah, I did this without quality because the Twisted Empyrean here also does not have quality. And my other weapon that I used as a like stat stick with the same stats also doesn't have quality, so like it will be even higher, but just for comparison sakes, this doesn't really matter. Let's talk about like why Lich. So we have basically the main thing why I was going with Lich, Necromantic Conduit. While you are not on low mana, you and allies in your presence have Unholy Might. Unholy Might by default gives 30% damage as extra chaos. So that's just okay. But, and now that's the thing. Blackened Heart. Increased magnitude of Unholy Might per 100 mana. So with this very humble, like I'm very conservative if I'm theory crafting builds always, because I'm a SSF player and everything I'm doing here is just basic as rares with runes and like very humble stats. Some stats are like tier 1, some stats are tier 2, like nothing perfectly rolled, just like good stats. And then we have like 2400 mana. So this means like just from that we already get like almost 100% increased magnitude. So that's like roughly 60% as extra chaos. So now comes the important part, why I mentioned that there's a big difference between fire damage and cold damage. And this actually being, if you go here into the support section, there's a support called Embitter support. If supported skills would gain extra damage of any type other than cold, they gain extra cold damage instead. So what this means is any S extra damage we can gain will get added as cold. This means we can scale all of this chaos damage. Chaos damage usually is pretty good as extra, like even if you don't invest into it. But with this, we funnel all of our extra chaos damage also into cold damage. So with the mace converting all the fire damage to cold, most of the mace skills have like, I think 80 or 70. Volcanic Fissure has 80. Forged Hammer has 30% on impact, and the fissures have 100% conversion. And we can look at the unique skill from Twisted Empyrean. That's the unique skill. Essentially, we can look at the skill. Let's look at the skill actually before we do this. I prepared like from the video they showcased this. You can see here he's throwing it, and then there's like all these fissures going out. And in this showcase, they don't even like really like showcase how good the skill is, because basically the main purpose of this skill would be to create tons of fissures and then re-triggering them. They don't even do that here. This skill creates more fissures than Volcanic Fissure, and like roughly similar to Forged Hammer, for example. Forged Hammer also has like this spiral pattern. And basically, if you do this and Forged Hammer, that's some insane overlap damage. If you then use like Rolling Slam or something like this. And the damage of this skill is actually like exactly, I just looked it up, 155% at level 18. That's exactly the same scaling as Volcanic Fissure. But Volcanic Fissure makes less fissures. If you fully invest into it with like support gems, it does create more fissures, but like the damage gets reduced by like all the supports that make it do more fissures. So essentially this should be a superior version of that. And then more importantly, the starfall damage. So basically after the skill, there's also like these 20 stars coming. That's probably like a little bit random, and the showcase they did, like I think it hit like the rare ones and then the rest just go into nothing. But they have pretty good scaling as well. That's just some extra damage. The question for that would be if we could make this like shotgun, maybe with like concentrated area where we make like the area smaller. I don't know, we have to see. But again, even if this active skill turns out to be really bad, the weapon still carries its weight, basically, just by like the stat line it provides. Couple other things basically with the defensive setup here. We can use the whole mana thing as a defensive setup. With some basic gear, we got like 400 to 500 mana regeneration on like 2400 mana. I have like 2 different trees that I prepared. Like this is probably like the tree I would go for. And then once we are like a little bit better, we can swap to all the damage taken as mana. And then ideally, if we swap to that, I would also, we would also have even more mana. And then use like mana really as a defensive layer. But yeah, even the default setup here that I planned around should be pretty okay. They're also buffing armor a little bit, so we probably go like armor energy shield. I did not plan around it, but we can also go Eldritch Battery. I have to see how this turns out, because this doubles mana cost. And another note that I want to take on Lich is this extra jewel slot. but this has 50% more mana cost if you have no energy shield. I really need to play around this, how good our energy shield will be. Yeah, that's a little bit of a question mark, but basically another pretty exciting scaling option here would be with cold damage. We can go Herald of Ice for clear, and then also, because we are Lich, we can use Rupture the Soul. Cursed enemies killed by you or allies in your presence have 33% chance to explode, dealing a quarter of their maximum life as chaos damage. I did plan with a setup with a Blasphemy Aura. I have not 100% decided yet, but with the Spirit I plan for Herald of Ice and 2 Blasphemy Auras with some extra from items. We could run 2 Blasphemy Auras, Ele Weakness and Temp Chains. This would be very defensive. Temp Chains with Chill and Freeze, it's just insane. It is just really insane. And Ele Weakness just makes minus Ele Res, which is generally really good. We do have a lot of penetration in the tree. Penetrate. There's like, what is this? 6, 6, 15, 27. That's like probably a little bit overkill on the penetration. So maybe we can even like respec the penetration in endgame and maybe like even stack a little bit more armor defensives. I don't know, we have to see. I did take this like inverted Ele Res here like early on. This is probably good. Maybe at the end we don't need this. I think the what makes it a little bit troublesome to scale melee damage as Lich from the passive tree is generic percentage increased damages. I did plan on rings. Rings have increased cold damage. That's pretty good. Also, by the way, in my calculations here, I couldn't figure out how to convert damage from my skills. So there's still a lot of fire damage here, which would not be fire damage. This would all be cold. So it would be like even better. But that's like just small details. Just the flat amount of damage we get is just worthwhile already. And then maybe we like juggle around some passive points. There's like a little bit more generic Ele damage here. There's like cold damage, sorry, a generic Ele damage. So like there is some stuff. I think the most limiting factor here to make this build feel good will be attack speed. And the only attack speed that is available on the passive tree that I could find is these 3 nodes: increased attack speed with elemental skills. Technically our skills are still fire skills, even though I convert them, but they still count as elemental skills anyway. So that's 9% attack speed. And then in the other setup, when we go like basically more mind over matter style, there is basically 3 nodes here. This node is incredible. This is probably the single best node for this build. I was even thinking about maybe anointing this. I have to see about this. But 8 damage is taken from mana before life and 15% increased attack speed while not on low mana. I need to balance my maximum mana and mana rack to never, ever, ever, ever get low mana anyway, because the Lich thing only gives me Unholy Might while I'm not on low mana. So we need to balance that. But that's a pretty easy condition to meet. And then the small nodes give either more damage taken from mana before life or more attack speed. But 15% attack speed from a single notable is very nice. Then the second source of attack speed to make this just feel like a lot smoother. So like things like Leap Slam, Volcanic Fissure just feels like better. And then also the Rolling Slam got buffed. It only has 1 flat attack time. So like the part that you still can scale with attack speed, it will feel even better. But yeah, the other source of attack speed would be Jewels. Jewels can roll, I think, 2 to 4% attack speed. yeah, 2 to 4%. And Lich has this Giga socket, which is twice as effective. So this is worth 2 joules. So as soon as I find a jewel with 4% attack speed and maybe like 1 or 2 other, there's generic increased attack damage and generic increased elemental damage on jewels as well. So basically all the stuff that I'm missing on the passive tree, general percentage increases and increased attack speed, which if you start as a warrior, you have plenty here as like small nodes and notables. We can get them back from jewels, and then just the very best jewel we can like Giga buff, and then just 8% attack speed from a single jewel, and then having like maybe like 1, 2, 3 more jewels with like 3-4% attack speed, and then we have like 15-20% attack speed from jewels, and then it should feel like a lot better already. But yeah, that's essentially the plan for my build, but this is not my league starter because I cannot start with this. I thought about starting a regular slam character and then just like transition into this, but I want to not play this like as a Lich from the get-go, so like we would need to swap character and ascendancies anyway. So I decided to do something entirely different. So now we get to my actual league start, which then will have a backup plan. If that doesn't work, that is a little bit more in the direction of maces. But yeah, the second thing that I want to do is martial artist with Cull. So basically what they showcased, and then this is very important, like there's a lot of things that like come together here. The thing they showcased which really made me think about doing this is hollow form. That's this channel skill where you channel and then you create illusions around you that repeat the socketed skill. They even said it in the preview where like if you can make a skill that doesn't have good clear and make it actually clear decent with this. And yeah, my idea was to use Killing Palm with this, because Killing Palm culls enemies and it generates power charges. Hollow form itself can generate can consume power charges to create additional images. And Killing Palm has a thing where it creates additional attacks towards other cullable enemies. So there's like some inherent AoE, which is pretty nice. Dash to an enemy and strike them, culling enemies if they are low enough, and performing additional dashing strikes to other cullable targets in range. That's the thing where like this already has like a little bit AoE, basically. And then if the base skill already has additional images and all of these can even chain, that should be some pretty good clear. But yeah. And then there's another change, monster change in the patch notes. Culling strike threshold for normal enemies is 35 instead of 30. So what this means now is, with a little bit of investment, we can make it so that Killing Palm has 98% culling threshold. And we can even go higher, so we can reach 100%. And all of this is not like absolutely top and min-max. The only thing that is a little bit gatekeeping is essentially this unique here, Mirror's Oxor. This gives 100% increased culling threshold. This is like a medium rarity unique, but with the changes to ritual, I think this should be not a problem to farm. I will definitely just put like a covert hood into my loot filter for chance orbs and do ritual until I drop this. And like I never really target farmed this, but like in all the previous solo self-fauna and private leagues I played, I dropped this at least a couple times, and so it's not that rare. And then the other things is on the passive tree. And basically there are a couple conditional ones, but even the unconditional ones, we have unconditionally 20% from hunting companion, 25% from bounty hunter, and then there are 3 more small nodes that have each 5% culling threshold. So basically, if you calculate all of this together, that is 60% from the passive tree, unconditional. And then we have Culling Strike 2, gain increased Culling Strike threshold for 20 seconds on culling with supported skill. So that is conditional, but 20 seconds is a long time. And now this plays into the next thing where you have these belts that spawn around you. These belts are always primed for stun, and they can be culled, and hits against them crit. But basically these belts spawning around you can be culled. So even if there are no enemies with Culling Strike 2, we have permanent uptime. So basically we have permanent 80% culling threshold. So if we put out our calculator here, even without the unique, we have a Culling Strike threshold of 35. And then the threshold is giving us 80%, so times 1.8. That is 63% Culling Strike threshold. For normal mobs, I think Killing Palm should still be strong enough to bring mobs below 63% with one hit. So essentially, while we channeling Hollow Form, a couple Killing Palms going through, and then they don't instantly cull enemies, but they make them cullable. And then I was thinking about, before we have 100% cull threshold, we could use some splash stuff. I have to see, there's like a ancestral strike support, which like gives it every 3 seconds. I'm not sure if that will work with Hollow Form, if it creates multiple copies, if all of the copies are ancestrally boosted. I think there is another thing they added here. Strike skills deal splash damage. This is a very expensive anoint. Maybe we can anoint that if we're starting monk. That's like a lot of traveling. I have to test this out. Maybe this is still worth until we drop the unique. I have to see. Like, I think the emotions are probably like 2 times isolation. By that point I should have the unique already, so anointing this is probably not worth it. Maybe doing a little bit of traveling, and then once I drop the unique and I can drop this. Yeah, I don't know. That's just like some details where I'm not 100% sure yet, but that's fine. Overall, and then we could corrupt this unique to increase this up to 22%, so 122, and that would be enough to bring us over 100. Even if this is like, I think this needs like 105% or something to reach the 100%. And for like very, 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 very late game, also they showcase these Horror's Flight gauntlets, like the gloves. And they give Fear Incarnate if when you cull, which increase your culling threshold by 10% for 10 seconds, and the whole duration is refreshed. So meaning with the belts that we spawn, that we constantly cull, this is permanent uptime, permanent 100% cull threshold. With these, I can probably even drop some of the passive nodes, or even maybe the support gem. The support gem is probably like the best one, because then we can do like more attack speed or whatever. But yeah, that's endgame stuff. Like this, these come from Delirium, and then they also have like a skill they showcase where it's like also like a palm skill where you jump to the enemy and cull them. and then they explode. I'm not 100% sure how to incorporate that into a build. Maybe I can use that for like rares or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, that's basically like the plan. I just think that hollow form, like we can put a showcase here. Where did they do this? They showcased this here with the shattering palm. Very, very slow. So like usually when they do these showcases, they are very very tame with the investment on the character. But yeah, you can like move while doing this. So like I can totally imagine the like gameplay loop. You go to a mob pack, before you approach the mob pack, you start channeling, go to the mob pack, boom, 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 boom. It takes like 1 or 2 hits until they are cullable. And once they are cullable, like it's like a chain reaction, and then you just go like go nuts. For single target then, again, because we generate power charges with killing palm, but hollow form also consumes power charges. I think with the right amount of investment on the passive tree with all the power charges, we can probably reach a point. Like there are things where like you have a chance to gain additional power charges. Where is this? Yeah, chance to gain an additional power charge. There's also support gems for that. There's like abyssal crafts for that. There's like a lot of support for this. And with enough investment, I think we can have like a net positive on power charge generation. And then we can use power charges for Flicker Strike and Infused Staff. I can't remember the name from the one skill. There's like the one Charged Staff, I think the name. Charged Staff, where basically you enhance your attacks with like some lightning damage, and then they also do like a little bit more AoE. Maybe we can even use that for like better clearing for killing palm. But that consumes power charges. And Flicker Strike. Flicker Strike is probably insane for like rares and uniques. It does 2 additional strikes with a more attack speed per power charge. And then when we have like 6, 7, 8 power charges, and then there's like chance to count as consuming double or stuff like this. I think this is like a really cool like in between. This is not primarily for clearing, but like I can maybe like even use it every now and then during the map to make like the map flow a little bit better, or like as a gap closer. And then for like tough rares and bosses, that should be like a good finisher. And then worst case, if that feels like ass and it doesn't really work, and I don't know, maybe hollow form with killing palm feels like absolutely unplayable. Another thing that I've thought about with hollow form is what is important. This has a 70% base attack speed. And the skill it uses has 30% less attack speed. But if you use skills that have an inherently high attack time, this will be amazing. So basically, things like I think Sunder and Rolling Slam are probably really good for this, especially Rolling Slam. Because you don't spend the time using the skill, your illusions are doing that. So you are doing a rolling slam every 70% of your attack speed. So when this whole killing palm thing doesn't work at all, I might try martial artist monk with 2-handed maces, and then we do some like just like generic physical or fire damage build. I'm not sure yet. But essentially, this is like it's not really completely the same thing, but this is similar to like Comet. Comet is a really good skill triggered, but self-cast is really hard to pull off because you can't really spam it. And then because if you trigger a skill, you don't spend time casting it yourself. And you can like kind of, like because like Hollow Form triggers the skill, the illusions still do the relatively slow rolling slams. You can still like you spew out these rolling slams. I haven't like 100% thought about if I even want to go into power charges with that kind of stuff. There's like some uniques you can do, some shenanigans there. But I even with only one illusion per 70% attack speed, I think this is still like really, really good. If you use Forge Hammer, use a Warcry to make the Forge Hammer explode into the fissures, and then channel Hollow Form, and then you have like rolling slam, rolling slam, rolling slam, like so many rolling slams. That's pretty good, pretty good. I think in the showcase, if I remember correctly, they show Vaulting Impact. It's a little bit faster than a Rolling Slam, but that's also a skill that has like an inherent plus to attack time on it. So it's like relative, yeah, here you can see. This is a skill that you would, like if you use it yourself, you could never do that many hits in succession, like because the skill has an inherent attack time. Yeah. So basically that's the plans. So just a quick recap. Mana stacking Lich with Twisted Empyrean. That's like the Aspirational build. That's what I want to do, but I can't Leaguestart. So Leaguestart will be Martial Artist with Killing Palm, Cull Threshold. Backup plan, Martial Artist with Hollow Form, Rolling Slam, or like any like Mace setup. That's my plans. Yeah, and then depending on how everything goes, I will definitely stream all of that on Leaguestart, and then the couple days after the Leaguestart, I will stream like every day, and then we will do like some like a build diary thing where I keep you guys updated on like the progress. And then especially once we do drop the Twisted Empyrean and we can transition into the build that I actually want to play. Yeah, I can't wait for that, because like I'm super stoked for that build. That's one of the coolest things that I have seen. Hopefully it does play as good as I think it will be. But I think there are so many cool scaling options. And then again, remember, everything I showed here is very, very conservative. I do all my builds like super duper conservative. There is so much stuff you can do with like crazy crafted breach rings. We can use like Fire Flower unique, like that gives like +4 to fire skills, because we still are having fire skills. There might be an angle for Mind of the Council, maximum mana added as lightning damage, so we can shock enemies even. Like I was thinking about Tree Fingers. It's a glove that gives Giant's Blood. Maybe we can dual wield Twisted Empyrean. I don't know. That would be absolutely nuts, because we need to find the attribute requirements. But yeah, that's like very, very, very late game, so I usually don't plan around that deep. But yeah, hopefully all of this gave you like some inspiration. On Friday, Leaguestart, I will stream and hopefully have some awesome builds, because I'm pretty excited for this for the time being. Thanks for watching, everybody, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.